take a deep dive into what is happening in the country throughout today and tomorrow. And of course, including yesterday, when the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence officially kicked off across the country. This comes amid various concerns regarding the rate at which cases of gender-based violence are being reported across the country. Remember, in recent weeks, there were concerns regarding cases of femicide, and President William Ruto last week, while addressing the country after meeting with a caucus of women leaders in the country, did pledge to set aside 100 million shillings to help in the fight against femicide here in the country. Well, one of the biggest concerns has been that the perpetrators are not brought to book. And that has been a call to action, and that was the call to action yesterday on the first day of activism against gender-based violence. There are questions regarding, whether the perpetrators here in the country are really brought to book. Remember, there are various cases of Kenyans who've been murdered this year. A pointing case is that of Rita Waeni, who was murdered on the 14th of January 2024, and that of Starlet Wahu, who was murdered on the 6th of January 2024. And if the sentiments of the Inspector General of Police, Douglas Kanja, a couple of weeks ago, is anything to go by, then the perpetrators, especially in the murder of student Rita Waeni, still at large, is yet to be found 10 months later. Of course, that raises concerns again in regards to the capability and efficiency of the investigative agencies here in the country in trying to ensure that cases of gender-based violence, cases of femicide are properly handled, and that as a country we can bring such cases to an end. According to a research done last year alone, at least 51,000 women across the globe were murdered or killed by their partners. But again, remember, gender-based violence cuts across board. It could go either way. There have been cases of gender-based violence, or people taking advantage and advantage of social media to advance the cases of gender-based violence. There is, for example, female genital mutilation, which has been termed as a form of gender-based violence. Remember, just a few days ago, to be specific, last week, there was a lady who lost her life in Elgeyo Marakwet County while undergoing the female genital mutilation. Now, that particular conversation, the cases of gender-based violence and how we can overcome that, will be forming basis of our conversation this particular morning here on New Dawn. And I'll be joined by 3 panelists, all of them ladies who will be, just trying to give their views and perspectives in regards to the cases of gender-based violence and how best to tackle them, the cases that have been reported here in the country, what needs to be done, what is the missing link in a bid to address these issues. Now, this is the New Dawn here on K24 TV, and remember, you can watch this particular show live across our social media platforms at K24 TV. At this particular moment in time, I just want us to take a look at what is making headlines in the news this particular morning. We kickstart that now, and questions are emerging regarding the transparency of future elections should the bill, which was part of the NADCO report recommendation, sail through the Senate. The Election Amendment Bill 2024 seeks to halt live streaming of presidential results and make it an individual responsibility to source the results. Martin Opio expounds on the bill, which formulated part of the recommendations of the 2023 NADCO report.
In a bid to bring transparency to the country's election system, the radical changes to the election saw the country adopt live streaming of presidential results. That, however, might be a thing of the past should the bill before the Senate come to life as it is. A product of the NADCO Report 2023, where the bipartisan team selected by former Premier Raila Odinga and President William Ruto to solve the impasse relating to the protests that were led by opposition leader in 2023. The Election Amendment Bill 2024 now seeks to formalize the proposal submitted by the National Dialogue Committee (NADCO) on issues about electoral matters and produced 9 bills to anchor the report into law. The bill aims to repeal Section 39 of the Elections Act by replacing live streaming with electronic transmission of results to tallying centers. At the moment, live streaming of the results from National Tallying Centre is mandatory for the electoral body, where the media accesses the data for public broadcast.
Order, member for Kienit.
The proposed amendments in the bill propose that results be electronically transmitted within 2 hours of the announcement at polling stations to constituency and national tallying centres, candidates, agents and observers. The bill reads in part that the new section has omitted provisions providing for the requirement for IEBC to establish a mechanism for the live streaming of results as announced at polling stations to facilitate public information. It will now be a requirement for returning officers to give satisfactory reasons as to why there were delays for transmission within the set time frame. This should be done in a prescribed manner. Compounding to the requirement for returning officers is that they must physically deliver the tabulated results to constituency and national tallying centres. The amendments mean that for one to access results, it will require a personal initiative should they wish to access the results to do so by accessing digital images or forms from 34A containing polling station results from the IEBC portals to gauge the outcomes themselves. The bill also omits provision addressing discrepancies between electronically transmitted and physically delivered results and deletes the clause stating that failure to transmit results electronically does not invalidate the declared outcome. The bill is currently at the committee stage of approval, and it means that if enacted, the changes would significantly alter how presidential results are communicated, raising concerns on transparency and public confidence in the electoral process. After the 2007 contested election and violence that ensued, the country opted for a more transparent way of handling elections. At the Bomas of Kenya during the last elections, debate on live transmission emerged when the live screen streaming the results momentarily went off. Chaotic scenes were witnessed over the results, which pointed to mistrust between the contesting parties. There was a similar attempt to scrap the live streaming requirement in 2022, which was rejected by the National Assembly Justice and Legal Affairs Committee (JLAC), then chaired by Kangema Member of Parliament Muturi Kigano. The electoral agency then, under Chair Wafula Chebukati, argued that the provision was unnecessary, with the committee insisting that it enhanced transparency and accountability during the electoral process, and doing away with it would defeat the purpose of enhancing transparency in the announcement and declaration of presidential election results. Among other recommendations in the bill is a mandatory audit of the voter registry by a reputable company. IEBC is also expected to have complementary mechanism that identifies voters. In case of a critical electoral information requirement, IEBC will provide the information within 3 days in case of a presidential election and within 7 days in case of other elective positions. During the Odinga-led demos in 2023, one of their demands was to ensure that there was an audit of the election results of the 2022 elections, and Parliament will be required to appoint an independent firm to carry out an evaluation of the electoral process after a general election is held. According to the bill, the evaluation shall include a review of the legal framework processes and costs associated with the electoral process. The proposed new provisions require the preparation of a report for submission to Parliament within 90 days of the appointment of the independent firm. Martin Upio, K24 TV, Nairobi.
Now, faith-based organizations want the government to fully settle debts owed to them under the now defunct National Hospital Insurance Fund, despite the government disbursing at least $5 billion to settle debts owed by NHIF to hospitals. Only $938 million was paid to faith-based hospitals. The faith-based organizations are now calling on the government to fully pay the $4 billion owed to them. As the government remains adamant that it will settle all debts owed to hospitals, including faith-based organizations, with the organizations only receiving $938 million of the $5 billion released to pay pending debts. Faith-based organizations now want all the debts owed to them under the defunct NHIF to be fully paid.
We have accumulated debts that we have shared. What our request for the government, the ministry in particular through SHA, is if we can find a way to retire completely the debts that have been incurred under NHIF regime, so that we can begin the next regime on a new slate.
Still claims from the facilities were totaling 4 billion Kenyan shilling. So out of that, I think about 2.7 were already cleared through, ready to receive payment, and there was another like 1.3 billion out there in the process.
The organization argues that equipping the facilities and paying of salaries is top on their list of concerns.
We pay salaries, and the salaries and the equipment and the medical facilities that we require to run our facility are as expensive as in any other facility. And so our call as the leaders of the church in our country is for the government to pay very, very close attention to the faith-based facilities, because they are a huge support to the government system.
They insist that despite claims of September debts set to be paid by the end of this week, the organization says it is crucial that the debts owed to them is paid in full to ensure smooth running of operations.
And we do appreciate the commitments that have been made that October SHA claims will be cleared this week, but we do have billions worth of claims under NHIF.
According to a statement by Health CS Deborah Mulongo, additional funds are being mobilized to pay out the debts in phases, with President William Ruto on Sunday during an interdenominational prayers at Kipsitet Primary School in Kericho, promising that the government will settle all pending debts. On top of recommendations of the pending debts being settled, the faith-based organizations also want Level 5 hospitals to be accorded rights to offer outpatient services.
So Level 5's faith-based be allowed to provide outpatient services, and we'll be looking forward to how some of that can be enabled, because we also have health workers who require services, and it's difficult for us to be releasing them and sending them to health centers and dispensaries to look for services when they can receive them at the facility. And being contributors, I think it's only fair that the service they need are facility as provided for from the benefits of social health authority.
With the issue of registration under the new scheme proving to be a thorn in the flesh, the organizations called on the stakeholders to address the challenges amid concerns of patients being registered under wrong categories. Now to a story that, of course, forms basis of our conversation as well. Elias Njeru, a minister from the Jesus Compassionate Ministries and a suspect into the attempted murder of Florence Onjiku, has surrendered himself to the authorities at the Central Police Station in Nakuru. Now, through his lawyer, Chege Gakuhi, Njeru says he is ready to cooperate with police officers in the investigations. Onjiku is still receiving treatment at the Optimum Hospital in Nakuru East. Mumbe Ombogu with the details.
On Saturday, police officers through the Rift Valley Regional Police Commander assured Kenyans and the family of Wanjiku that Elias would be apprehended and brought to book.
As security agencies, we are doing all that is in our power to make sure that the suspect is brought to book.
Speaking on her hospital bed, Wanjiku narrated the events that led to her stabbing that left her with missing fingers and other serious injuries.
He came attacking me. I tried to drive off and run away. Unfortunately, nikawanga gari yake nyuma. So akashuka akiniambia, gari ya nani unagonga? So I locked the door, but the window was open. He proceeded hitting me on the head, using his hands, pulling me outside. So by the time I was outside, hapa ndipo nilisikia ananikatakata. So I tried to protect myself with my hands, and I lost my fingers, all of them in this hand. The remaining one are fractured.
Today, Elias surrendered to police officers at the Central Police Station in Nakuru after missing for nearly 3 days without a trace. His lawyer, Chege Gakuhe, says the suspect is ready to cooperate with police officers.
At this juncture, we wish to assure the members of the public that the suspect, who has been named in the alleged incident of the 21st of November 2024, is currently being detained at Nakuru Central Police Station, awaiting further investigations.
Gakuhe also said that information on the attempted murder circulating on social media is false and investigations into the matter will reveal the truth.
We also wish to assure the public that the said Elias Mutungi Njeru is ready and willing to cooperate with the investigative authorities for purposes of determining the events of what really happened on the 21st of November. Just a slight indication from the defense is that we are in possession of CCTV footage clearly showing what transpired on that night of the 21st of November 2024.
Elias was arraigned at Molo Court today and will be detained as investigations into the incident continue. Mombi Wambogo, K24 TV. Now, the National Assembly yesterday debated President William Ruto's second State of the Nation address that he issued on Thursday last week as per the standing order of the House. The legislators, however, differed on the growth of the economy, implementation of the Social Health Insurance Fund and the cancellation of the Adani deals. As Joel Chacha now reports, the push and pull on whether the decision by the President was due to public pressure or partner states still remained a subject of debate.
As the National Assembly is almost coming to the end of 2024 calendar, its sittings will now be from Monday to Friday, from the usual Tuesday to Thursday.
Minority, my good friend, the Honorable Junet Mohammed.
Today's afternoon session, as per the standing orders, focus on the State of the Nation address issued by President William Ruto on Thursday last week, in line with Article 132 of the Constitution.
Saying, planning and implementation are different things. I want to acknowledge that the President is on the path of listening, which is critical of a leader.
And also challenge those, the naysayers, Honorable Speaker. If you don't like Adani, bring Ambani, or bring the Turkish, bring the Chinese, bring the Americans, bring anyone with capital to invest in this country. How I wish, Honorable Speaker, that those who have been admonishing these private-public partnerships are giving us alternative solutions and telling us this particular investor is not good, we have this other particular investor that is better.
Our mind is fixated with issues that we think are them against us, who is doing this, who is doing that. I may not vote for Adani myself, but what I want to say on the floor of this House is that for those of us who are against Adani, let us now give alternative views.
The decision by President Ruto to cancel the Adani deals is, however, attributed to him listening to Kenyans, despite stating that it was due to new information from partner states. The ramifications of the move has also been a concern.
The cancellation of the contracts, that was very good. But still, Honorable Speaker, we have said, and then has also been mentioned to be also in SHA. How I wish that the element in SHA could also be discontinued, Honorable Speaker.
No need for the President to cancel, especially this one of electricity transmission, because the kind of damage that we suffer as people from the lake is enormous.
The President did indicate when he appeared here that following information that now they had received from partner states and friendly states is the reason why he was terminating the Adani deals.
The transition from NHIF to the Social Health Authority also drew conflicted opinions, with some defending it while others criticized it.
Honorable Speaker, this thing is working, and I can give my own experience. Just last 2 weeks ago, I enrolled somebody into this SHA, and they were admitted into a private hospital. Honorable Speaker, the bill that I was given was about 300,000 shillings. And I was told that I can pay only half, that SHA was paying the rest.
Mr. Speaker, even when IEBC is conducting mass registration of voters, there's a lot of campaign in the media, there's a lot of campaign in the print media, in the radios, Mr. Speaker, asking people, umejiandikisha je? This one, nobody hears anything about it. We need to do a serious campaign so that Kenyans can know that there is a new program called SHA.
On the State of the Nation, a section of minority members stated that figures alone are not impactful, but the same should be felt by Kenyans.
But what is very surprising, Honorable Speaker, is that despite the inflation coming down, Kenyans are complaining about the cost of living. And the way I look at it as an economist, Honorable Speaker, is that the reason why the prices are coming down is because we have suppressed demand, that people have no money to buy, and since demand surpasses supply, then prices come down. These are basic principles of economics, and you can't change them.
You know, numbers don't lie. When we talk about issues to do with the economy, we cannot be telling the public that we are doing so well when people cannot even meet their basic needs.
Joel Chacha, K24 TV, Nairobi.
Now, as Kenyans reflect on the intense national debate over murders and different kind of abuse on women that have rocked the country, a key demand for the establishment of femicide as a separate legal charge from homicide has been made, as Milia Kisiena now reports there are still over 97 femicide pending cases recorded in the last 3 months that are yet to be resolved and justice delivered, with perpetrators still walking freely.
Have a safe environment for all of us.
As the country joins the 16 days of gender-based activism awareness campaign, those directly affected by the campaign is still walking and living with wounds that are yet to heal. Justice for them still being a thing of the past.
A parent to the deceased Purity Wangeshi Karinga. Purity Wangeshi Karinga was murdered in 2022 by an alleged boyfriend.
According to the victims, the justice system remains sluggish and ineffective in prosecuting the perpetrators, and corruption continues to cause gaps.
That's telling stories.
Speaking during an event organized by a human rights organization to mark the beginning of the 16 days of activism in the country, families of femicide victims are calling on the government to be intentional in ending rising cases of femicide in the country.
And how does the media?
For them, a new kind of law which involves the establishment of femicide as a separate legal charge from homicide could resolve the backlog of femicide cases.
And that's why I'm saying the femicide should be treated very different from any other crime. We want to see a standalone whereby the crimes of femicides and also the crimes maybe of homicide, which are very few compared to the femicides, they will be treated. They will be given its own judge, they will be given its own court, so that the piling up of those cases cannot pile up, so that as it comes and it is not going to come, it is going to end. Like now the 97 cases that we have had, we have only seen two or three cases maybe that the perpetrators have been found. Where are the others 95? They are still the vicious cycle. They are still continuing to do the same crimes, and I don't know sometimes how far we are going to catch up with the cases if they pile up.
With the hidden face of femicides in the country, there's need for more resources to be allocated into the campaign, aside from the 100 million shillings promised by President William Ruto last week. sentiments echoed by Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru.
Is that we have to call on the executive to put more resources in this. 100 million shillings is commendable, it is important, but it cannot go into buildings. It has to go into psychosocial services, it has to go into legal representation.
We also are asking for a long-term solution to this issue. I think this issue has a lot more to do than just what meets the eye, and a comprehensive assessment of what is going on in our society needs to be checked.
Kenya has recorded 97 femicide cases in the past 3 months, including the recent brutal murder of a woman, her daughter and a niece. Last week alone, more than 3 cases have been reported, with victims fighting for their lives in hospitals, while some are now deceased. Milia Kisienya, K24 TV.
Well, that story by Amelia Kisienya takes us to a fast breather. I'll be back with what is making headlines in the local dailies here in the country. Don't go away.
When it's a Saturday, there's only